Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refine and Shine podcast. I am so excited for my guest today. We have been talking for a little bit, and we just got done recording on his podcast, and so just super excited. And I'd love for you to support him. My friend today, my guest is Brian Snow. He is a veteran broadcaster, play-by-play voice, and a creator of Snowman in the Morning, now entering its 30th season. He is a resilient pancreatic cancer survivor. Brian blends powerful storytelling with unapologetic sports commentary across Snowman Multimedia and Snowman Sportsnet. His journey fulfills his mission, inspiring audience through authenticity, humor, and heart. Brian's voice brings energy, perspective, and experience to every conversation he joins. Thank you, Brian, for being my guest today.
Thank you very much for having me. I totally appreciate that.
What I love about your story is you have a story of resilience, and I mean just the fact that you're a cancer survivor, and you've been through a lot. So kind of just take us through the journey of what you've been through and how you become the person you are today.
Started with me being bullied in high school and surviving that. Um, then leaving Chicago for the very first time, 1990, going away to college and figuring out, oh boy, there's a whole world out here and stuff I didn't know and stuff that my parents tried to shield me from. Then I got into broadcasting while I was married the first time at age 22, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing married at age 22. I'm just getting started in life. I just celebrated a birthday and then I'm celebrating a wedding. How the hell did that work out? Here's the answer. Didn't work out good because I didn't feel appreciated. So, 1999, I'm restarting there, trying to figure out what the hell am I going to do. But I always had broadcasting in the back of my mind and in my corner. I always had an assignment, no matter where I was. I always had an assignment in Chicago waiting for me, so I used it. I leaned on it heavily. The odyssey for me being who I am started in 2005 when I went to a place I thought I'd never visit, which was Montana. And I stayed there for a couple of months, then made my way down to Florida, visited some friends there, then eventually made my way to Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. And being there for a few months taught me a lot, not just about people, but about myself, about resilience. And the team lead I was working for at one of the rides says, if you want to quit, quit. And I went home and thought about that and I said, nah, I don't want to quit. That team lead wound up becoming one of my best friends. And she kept saying, I love the way this is why I didn't want you to quit, because I love the way that while you follow all the protocol, you act crazy with with the people and getting them laughing. And on a long day, we need that. As I said, I still had broadcasting in my mind. And then 2015 happened where I nearly quit because at the time I went through a very abusive relationship. And also during that time, I lost my daughter, Donna. She was the second person I lost in 8 years because 2007, I lost my hero. I lost my dad to
Mm.
prostate cancer. And I don't care what anybody says, I'm still grieving that. I don't know how to grieve that when a man who taught me everything that I know and is still teaching me because God's sending them to me every day. I'm still grieving that. I'm still grieving the loss of my daughter and I'm still grieving that abusive relationship because when I found out the news about my daughter, the person that I was seeing at the time told me, quote, I don't want to hear about that. I want to talk business. I snapped. I packed up and I left. But then after that happened 3 years later, I met the love of my life, Jody, who sent me a message, and that message opened something for me I thought I'd never open again. When I was ready to step off the cliff and not come back. After another failed relationship in 2017, I was back in Michigan City, and that message was like Jody racing the clock and pulling me back from the cliff.
Mm.
8 years later, stronger than ever. I beat pancreatic cancer, stage 4 pancreatic cancer, survival rate less than 2%. Well, call me the less than 2% because I whooped its ass. I always say we whooped its ass because everybody that prayed for me sent me good vibes, sent me good words. It's a team victory. I beat the monster that my parents unfortunately could not. Every day after that, trying to figure out how I'm going to make Snowman Multimedia work for another 30 years. And then 30 years after that, I've run into days where I was ready to tear all this down and put it away and not pull it back out again. What happens? I go in, get a good night's sleep, and then I come back and here we are, still fighting, always fighting, looking to get better every time, looking to make my body stronger, eat healthier, because there's a pretty lady in the office behind me that wants 50 years out of me. And I told her, baby, 50 years plus. And I plan to keep that promise, not just to her, but to my children and to my grandchildren, but to my honey, Jody, my wife of 8 years. I'm going to keep my promise. I mean that.
I love that. I love that. I mean, wow, what a thing. Like you have been through a lot. And losing a parent, I don't care how many years ago it was, when I lost my great grandpa, who was kind of like a dad to us. I was 10 years old. It has been 30 plus years. I can tell you exactly how hard it was. The day that I found out, the whole funeral, like my mom mourning, like, but that was the first time I'd ever seen my mom cry, lay on the couch, go through what I can now understand was depression. And we talked on your podcast earlier, about that was probably one of the first times that I had to like step it up and like help her out and like start making dinner and all these things, and she was grieving. It was a lot, and she had a 1-year-old child at the time too, and so just a lot of things. And we still talk and share stories today about my great grandpa, which was like a grandpa to her, was like a dad to her, was like a dad to us. He used to take us to school, like he would do all these things for us. It still hurts. I can still cry like it was yesterday. And what the thing is those people have so much impact. And even my when my grandma passed away in 2020, those people have made such an impact on your lives. Those are people who are like your legacy, and you want to keep inspiring to be the better person, or to show them and to make them proud. And so it is hard, like and then when things go wrong, and maybe things aren't working out right, you have that internal feeling like, oh, did I fail? Am I failing them? Because they're watching us above, right? And so we're just kind of constantly trying to keep going. And times are hard. We all have like those ups and downs, and like illnesses and health issues and things that we can do everything right, and then crap happens, right? And
Absolutely.
so we just have to keep having that glimmer of hope. And then to lose a child too. I mean, that there's a lot that has happened. And then the pancreatic cancer, which I love that you said, that you're like that 2%. And I think that what people don't understand is when you get like a a diagnosis of 1% or 2% or whatever the diagnosis is that you get, doesn't mean you need to give up. That means there's still a chance. Like you got to keep fighting. And I think that what happens is people have that mindset and they're like, well, that means 98% chance I'm going to, pass away. No, that means 98 that you have that 2% chance of keep going, and just change your perspective of it. Like there is survival rates. There's people who are surviving, and don't look at the people, just look at the negative when they look at percentages and not on the positives. Like there's hope, there's glimmer, and things like that. And so, what was your mindset when you got that diagnosis and you were like, I'm going to keep on fighting, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to change my health, eating habits? Like, how did you go through all of that?
Jody. Jody was my anchor because we got the diagnosis down in North Carolina that there's no way they can operate on the tumor that I had. And Jody said, I'm not losing you. And at the time, I had gone through oral chemo for only 3 months. And anybody that's gone through chemotherapy, it's a poison.
Hmm.
It's a poison and it fogs your brain. I still get it today, some 4 years later. Man, to say that Jody became my version of the Incredible Hulk is putting it lightly because she says, I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna get insurance, and we're gonna beat this doggone thing. Then my attitude started to change. So because of her and everything that she's gone through, I drew strength from that.
Mhm.
Once I started drawing strength from that, I said, I will beat this. Then the most incredible thing happened. We went to Indianapolis, and the doctor who would perform the surgery on me to remove the cancer, and it also cost me five other organs, so my body's still out of whack, but I'm here. He started drawing on a paper towel, and Jody gets excited. I look him dead in the eye. I said, "Can you get this thing or not?" And he looked at me. He said, "We'll get this son bitch. Trust me." They did. I tell it,
I
Nakia, I love you forever for saving my life. Because now I can be around my children, my grandchildren, my wife, my friends. Taught me some very important lessons too about getting healthy, eating healthy, getting out of. My wife talks about it all the time, survival mode, and she tells me every day, keep grinding. When a man hears his mate tell him, "I'm proud of you. Keep going. Don't give up." That's belief, man.
Mhm.
If anything else, I needed that. I need that positive energy every day because you can give it to yourself and you can tell yourself this is going to be a good day. But for me, when Joni gives me a hug and a kiss heading out the door and says, "Have a great show," or "Have a great broadcast. Keep kicking ass. You owe me 50 years." She says that last one as a joke all the time, but it just makes me smile and makes me fight harder. I'm like, yeah, I owe her 50 years. And as far as I'm concerned, we're just getting started.
I love that. I love that. I think that that's so important. We need to have people in our lives that are those motivators that help. There's a person I listened to on a podcast, and his name is Justin Schnick or something like that. But he says you got to have five people, and one of them is your bruiser, your cheerleader. Go through all those things. And you probably have heard him talk before, and that's really important. Like you got to have that person who's going to push you to keep going, and because sometimes there's times when we can only like our strength is only so much. Another example would be if you ever heard the spoon theory, right? And sometimes the energy levels that we're having, maybe we only we're one spoon, two spoons that day, and that might take all the things we have, but we can't borrow spoons from the next day, but we need to borrow strength from somebody else sometimes to help us. And I love that. And we've talked offline, and I've shared it before on my podcast. My husband has a medical disability and is unable to work, and it was hard things that he had went through. And I think that
Mhm.
that's, people don't understand when in the Bible it says the male is supposed to provide and all these things,
Yep.
and then you get faced with this issue that you can't provide, and it's so hard for you to go through like the mental health issues that you have, or the feeling of letdown is so real that people don't
It
understand
is.
that. And even the part where people think that women shouldn't work outside the home and women
Right.
shouldn't make more money than their men. Like there's all these people that are, and that what I say to you, them, those people, and if you're
Yep.
my listeners, stop judging people. You do
Mhm.
not know what they're going through. And maybe one day you may be going through the same issues, but you do not know. And we need to just love people, love them where they're at, and don't waste time judging and all these things, and figure out how can I support you? I see that this is going on. How can I help you? How can I support you? How can I keep you going? And dropping those, hey, hope you're doing well, those little messages or that little motivation, or, sending somebody a $5 gift card to go get some coffee. Well, I don't know what coffee costs now, but $10, or little glimmers of hope to inspire them, I think is so important.
It is. I've had people who judge me all the time say, "Hey, man, quit talking about your wife." No, I'm not going to talk about the pretty lady that saved me 3 different times. I've had
Mhm.
2 toes amputated. She knew what to do to keep me motivated about that. I mentioned the pancreatic cancer and the other thing. When a man gets when the man gets dealt a rotten hand, depression sets in immediately, and we're not taught or equipped on how to deal with depression because the man is just supposed to just tamp it down and keep going. Wrong. Wrong. You have to deal with it. I had to learn to deal with my depression, which fortunately, for the most part, is gone. It's a lot of work.
Mhm.
Trust me, because I didn't get diagnosed with depression until 2017 when I lost Donna. I lost Donna 2 years prior, 2015. And someone kept mentioning her name, I think of that pretty little face. And then one day I finally snapped. It cost me 7 days on the top floor of a hospital, but you know what? Best 7 days of my life because it set me back, it put me back on the right path and put me back on my journey. But men are not, and I don't say this to be rotten, I say this factually. Men are not equipped to deal with depression. For the simplest of reasons, society tells men all the time just to keep going. And if they keep going and going and keep banging their head against the wall and they don't get through it, they're like, now what? That's a big mountain I had to climb.
No, I agree with you. What happens to all the time with men and in the males that they're just told, "Man up," right?
Yep.
And that's just who'd ever came up with that? I mean, that's not something we cannot when we suppress our pain because we're trying to just keep on going, and it goes
Hmm.
both male female.
Yep.
What happens is that depression or that pain or all the things that we keep squashing down because we're just trying to like show up and do
Yep.
this and do that and not show people our pain and all those things,
Yep.
then that comes out in other things. That comes out in diseases and pain and anxiety and grief and exhaustion and so many other things. And I think that I know that we just need to just have love for people. And like I said, that lot it's a lie when they say, "Handle it, push through, don't burden anyone." It's a lie that costs lives. It causes, you know, this when you have people that are affected by that, you don't know what they're going through, and you gotta remember, like, going back into the Bible. I'm sorry if I'm a little rambling, but my
It's
brain's
fine.
going through all these things right now.
I
Um,
get it. I get it.
even, if you're into the Bible, even, David cried out in anguish, Job I'm reading the book of Job right now, and all of these things that happened to him, and they were because he did nothing wrong. It's just the devil was like, "Can I test him?" And he questioned everything, and that's okay. That's okay, and even Jesus wept. Like, we are a like, when people say men don't cry and all that, Jesus wept. It's the
Hmm.
shortest verse in the Bible, and I think that people need to understand that. It's Men are not meant to numb the pain, hide it, outperform it, or all of these things. They need to be supported, and this goes for everybody. They need to be seen, they need to be heard, and have community where they can heal in, and just give them just hope and faith, and I think that's what's so important. What would you say to that?
Men need to be loved and supported and picked up when they're down. It reminds me of a fellow that's a very dear friend of mine who's going through a lot right now. His name is Chris Hilliard, going through a very aggressive stage 4 brain cancer. And his mom reached out to me and said, "Can you promote our fundraising event?" I said, "Mom, I'll do you one better. I'll promote it every time that I'm on the air. And I also will bring Jody. We're planning. That's why I got the GoFundMe out there that I told you about and every other way, because we're planning to go to Chicago that last weekend in February. And then on March 1st, go into the place where they're having a big time fundraising event for him. And I'm going to be there to stream the darn thing. I just got the approval to do it. So it's not only me that's in the fight. I got friends like Chris that are in the fight. I got friends like Shane Lake that are in the fight. As a man, I got a friend, Victor Locke, who's in the fight. Men do get depressed. Don't you believe otherwise? Um, I mentioned Jody, my wife. I mentioned Sonia, my daughter. They go through the fight. My daughter Cheyenne, my son Dakota, my baby boy, who is about as tall as me, but the heck with it. But You know what you can do? The first thing you can do for a man to bring him out of the dumps, make him laugh. That's the simplest thing. I've had people ask me this, you included. What's the simplest thing we can do to help men out? First of all, recognize that they're struggling and then make them smile and make them laugh. Make them laugh. That's the simplest thing. The simplest thing that you can do is make them laugh. Chris has made me laugh, I don't know, 13 years now. Victor's made me laugh for a quarter of a century. Jody's made me laugh for the past 8 years. My children, same amount of time. They've made me smile and they've made me laugh, and they've been able to make me laugh when I'm really, really down in the dumps. It's the simplest thing you can start with. Chris is a fighter. All right. Chris is a graduate of Brother Rice High School in Chicago. It's a school I used to broadcast for. And I asked his mom, I said, Mom, besides me being there to broadcast your event, what else do you want to see me do? She says, I want to see you and Chris broadcast the game back at Brother Rice. I said, we're going to make this happen. And I'm pushing forward. Chris is pushing forward. My wife is pushing forward because I can't tell you enough how special the people that I mentioned are to me.
Mhm.
And when you lean on them for their strength, it comes back to you. And then later they can lean on you for your strength. And I always want to do that for the people that are very close to me.
I think that's so important. And one of the things I love how you said, just make them laugh, and just like us. And the same thing when you're walking through the grocery store or just going, smile. A smile costs you
Yes.
nothing.
Yes.
You see people, just smile. It doesn't have to mean you're, flirtatious or anything like that. You're just
Right.
smiling.
Hmm.
I think that that's important. And there was something that you said that made me think of something. What was it that I was thinking of? I don't. Sorry. My mind is going through a thousand things because you have been through so much, and then you just keep being the light. You keep having hope and strength and faith. And one of the things that I was thinking of to ask you is, oh, well, what do you do for fun? What is the things that you do for fun? You have all of these things that these. I would just love to know what you do for fun.
Poke fun at my wife, and she pokes fun at me. Uh, we love going out and going to dinner and going places. Gonna do more of that. I had to get over my fear of being out in public, especially with my body being the way that it is. I'm over it now. It took me 3.5 years. I want to go out more. I want to, like I said, that's why I'm pushing what I'm pushing. Because one night I just want to say to Jody, honey, let's go eat. Let's go get something to eat. Let's go to dinner. Let's go somewhere. We just sit and laugh. You know.
Mhm.
What else do I like doing? What else do I like doing for fun? I love sports. I am a sports nerd. I love watching games, especially football with Jody, and hearing Jody yell at the screen. And I get such a kick out of that. One thing I am developing a love for and getting creative with is cooking.
Mm.
There's a series that I have now on YouTube. Snowman learns to cook on a budget, and Dr. K and I film the segment. We're going to get back to it, but so far I've done an episode on vegetable soup, done an episode making butternut squash soup, and done an episode on making an apple crisp. I think the next couple we're going to do some sweet treats, and I am going to myself be creative and create a sugar-free coffee creamer because I figured out sugar leads to depression if you consume a lot of it. It leads to depression if you don't couple it. And we did this earlier before we came on air. These two things are full of water
Mhm.
all the time. Nothing else touches these. If I get sweet tea, I have another cup for it. But I found this is for me that if you couple a lot of coffee, which I do consume, and I'm trying to shorten that up, with water, you're going to be fine because it slowly wipes your system out. You're able to keep going, and you're able to get some rest. Also, you don't crash. That's the word I'm
Mhm.
looking for. If you just drink coffee with a lot of sweet creamer in it, I have a sweet tooth. I'm a man. I can't help it. And me with chocolate caramel, which is evil right now to me. 'Cause but the point is, you couple it with a lot of water, and I mean a lot of it, because you're gonna have to match whatever you can. You have to double the amount of water that you consume with coffee. I had to learn that by trial by error for the last 10 years, but that helps. You said walking through the grocery store and just smiling at people. I walk through the grocery store and I see a Notre Dame fan and I pick on him and he starts laughing. I see someone wearing a Boston Celtics shirt on. She starts laughing. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about smiling and laughing at it because it's the simplest thing you can do for a person to lift them up. And I've had
Mhm.
people tell me as such. But being there and showing up for people, huge.
Mhm.
Very, very huge. And that's why I not just mentioned something about me, but I wanted to mention something about my friend Chris and being resilient and everything that he's going through, especially now that he has a 1-year old son, Andrew. I want to meet. I want to see Chris. I want to meet his wife. I want to see his baby boy, and I want Chris and I to call a game together with my whole
Mhm.
crew in tow. And I am determined within the next 2 to 3 weeks to make that happen.
I love that. I think that's so important. And the community, having those people that give you strength in that community is so important.
Mhm.
And one of the things like that we do for ourselves is we belong to an organization that helps veterans. And it's, the veterans have a very high rate of suicide. And by use of remote control cars, we go out and we do crawling and we do fundraising and do all these things. And I will tell you that for my husband, that through the darkest times that his band of brothers that he has for going out and doing remote control cars and just having that time has helped so much because what they describe and I do it too, and usually when we do events I'm out there on the booth and I'm like raising the money and doing all the fundraising and helping them or letting them go out and crawl. My husband says is that time on the rocks he could be on they do rock crawling a lot, but he can be on a rock and do some type of obstacle course, and in that moment no matter if it takes 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever they do and to get across that obstacle, you're not thinking about everything else. You're not thinking about all the clutter in your head and all the other things, and it's just that time, and you're just thinking about, "How can I get to this obstacle?" And, we have friends throughout the world, the US that we have developed friendships with because of these, it's called Operation Love and Charlie. It's a nonprofit organization that s the founder is in Florida, and so we're here in California, but, and because of just that community, it's just been a light to us as well. And so I think, people need to find if you're going through, for men especially, if you're going through a hard time, you got to find that person. You got to find that your community. And it sometimes may be hard, but there is, just platforms out there. There's groups out there. You just got to find it. And if you can't find one, maybe create one in your local area. I think is important too. We didn't have a chapter for this, organization. There was not a chapter in the high where we live in the high desert. My husband was first inducted, and since then, we have built a chapter together, and, I finally got inducted myself, but it's pretty important, so if you can't find it and if you need that support, build it if you can. I think that's so important.
It's one of the greatest lessons my dad ever taught me. Um, when he kept pushing me, you love your play by play. I hear it all the time. May drive me nuts, but I love hearing you do it. So go with it. I mean, he would sneak me little things that my mother wouldn't want me to have, like a brick of audio tape so I can record Bulls games. I was living back home in Chicago. And my favorite announcer of all time is the late, great Jim Durham. I got others, including Chick Hearn, longtime voice of the Lakers, Johnny Mose
Mhm.
from the Celtics, Gene Peterson from the Rockets. But the man that got it started for me was Jim Durham for basketball. And I would record every Bulls game I could lay my ears on. And he will always tell me, Don't let your mother or me stop you from chasing your dreams. And then I got a sign that says, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. That's true.
Mhm.
It is. It is so very true. And what also gives me joy is helping my wife get her company started. Because she may not believe this right now, but with what she's going to offer for Dr. K Consulting, it's going to take off. And if anybody has something to say about it taking off, you're looking at him. I want to help her the same way that she helps me every day. And the best thing that I do for her right now while I'm getting in shape physically is showing up.
Mhm. Yeah. So important. So important. As we wrap up, though, I would love to just how can people connect with you? What are the links that you can or just kind of share with us? And I'll make sure all the links are in the show notes as well.
You can find me um, on Facebook and Twitter and and Twitch as B Snow Multimedia. You can find me on YouTube. Search at Snowman Multimedia. That's my broadcast channel. And I'm, as y'all heard, going through a lot right now, and I'm trying to get myself back on my feet so I can help my pretty lady. So if anyone can contribute to my streams via the GoFundMe, which is gofundme.com/snowman's road to recovery, that would be awesome because I want to take some pressure off of her, getting me around. And if I can get 2 grand and just find a good car to get around so I can say, baby, I got this. I can drive myself around. And then some nights during the week, like I said, I can take her out and just have fun and I do the driving.
Mhm.
So all of that, that's why I'm also launching a subathon for my YouTube channel because by the Super Bowl, I want to get to 3,500 subscribers and we're at 2,200 right now. So doing everything that I can, and I want to leave y'all with this. I said earlier that if your dreams don't scare you, they're simply not big enough, and it's true. I'm also reminded of the great Nipsey Russell when he said, "Put a thing off till tomorrow, and you live your life in vain. Do it today, and if you like it, tomorrow you can do it again."
Mm, I love that. I love that. Um, well, I usually ask people too, and I was going to ask you, but would that be the quote that you want to share or the thing, or
That's
do
the
you?
that's
Yeah,
what that's what I want to share. Just do it. Just do it, man. Don't put anything off, and don't let your dreams scare you.
I think that that's so important, and that's great way to look at things, in order to help us refine and shine. Not just look at, okay, I put it tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Well, every tomorrow is going to be another tomorrow, and if there is something that for me it's God, but your divine power or something that comes into your heart, and you get something, a whisper or something
Hmm.
that is coming from your higher power, that is your dream, and you need to do it. And I
Yes.
think that so often we put it off and think that we get too scared or, people are going to judge me or people are going to whatever, whatever. Let those
Right.
naysayers, they're going to judge you no matter what. Or sometimes they're too busy worrying about themselves and not even looking at you. But you got to do you.
Yep. That's what I've had to learn to do. And I hope you folks can learn to do it as well. It's a process and a half. Trust me. Angelina's been there. I've been there. Jody's been there. My children have been there. It's a process and a half, but you have to trust it.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate you being on my show today, and I cannot wait to keep you follow up with you and see, all the things that you're able to accomplish and, with Chris and everything that you have.
I appreciate you very much for having me. Thank you so much. And thank you all for hearing my story. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.